Hello and welcome to a new Warhammer 40,000 lore video. This will be the first in what I hope will become a series of 40k what ifs. The most popular what if is probably, what if the Emperor was resurrected? Today we're going to be covering that, and what I personally believe should or could happen, or why it shouldn't happen, and why it couldn't happen. So, before we hop into the video, just like to say I've started my own Discord server for everything 40k related. The link will be down in the description below if you want to join. We have miniature work in progress channels, general talk, lore talk, army lists, so we're trying to build a really good Warhammer community there, lots of friendly people, lots of helpful people. So if you could help build that community, I'd be very grateful. Also, my Instagram and my Twitter account will be down in the description, so you can stay up to date with anything that's happening with the channel or just models in general. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the theory. Now, we're going to start off with the conditions, and I'm going to do this with every video that I do of these what ifs series. The conditions are that in this specific scenario, words difficult, everything went down normally. The Horus Heresy happened, Battle of Terror, Emperor was grievously wounded, and it's come all the way up to Dark Imperium now, where Guilliman has been resurrected, he's leading the Indomitus Crusade, etc., etc. Now, with this happening, it does open the floor to the possibility of the Eldar doing the same thing that they did with Guilliman, and using technology similar to the Armour of Fate that the Admech developed. Which, while it could happen, to me, it would make no sense lore-wise, and it'd be almost impossible to write in by a Black Library author. Mainly due to the fact that, one, the Emperor, unlike Guilliman, was not put in a stasis field, so the Emperor's body is just a skeleton. He would not be able to use the body he has. Guilliman was lucky because he was put in a stasis field pretty much straight away, so his body didn't decay or anything like that, and he technically didn't die, even though he did, really. So they would have to find a new body, which would probably be the most difficult part of their plan. Finding a host body for shattered fragments of the Emperor to sort of take over, sort of possess, if you would. It's going to be a difficult task if it's actually possible in the first place. Literally every law of Warhammer 40,000, and there are some crazy laws of how science and religion works in Warhammer, but it's against everything in Warhammer in terms of possibility. The Emperor is such a strong psychic presence, and he was literally formed by dozens upon dozens of psychic entities, much less powerful than him, committing ritual suicide to merge as one. So, obviously we all know that his psychic power is immense. And within the battle with Horus, he was grievously wounded, put on the Golden Throne. Throughout the years, his soul has been shattered. So it's almost irreparably, I don't think it would be recoverable at all. So not only would you be getting a skeleton, if he could come back to life, which would not be possible because he's missing all of his organs, then they'd have to find a new body, and they would have to try and piece together all the little shards of the Emperor that's floating around in the warp, which would be impossible. And let's say they actually did this, alright? Let's say that they actually pulled it off. What would happen if he did come back to life? See, now, the whole stagnancy idea that the Imperium pretty much just stopped developing after the Emperor, well, after the Emperor died, is very true. I mean, I don't think there's been any technological advancements apart from the Primaris, but they were being worked on just after the Horus Heresy. So I'll call that an exception. So there's been no technological advancements. It's pretty obvious that they've actually gone backwards. They haven't gone forwards with progress. They've just sort of degraded themselves in a way to the point of Space Marines and the Imperium seem like a load of crazy dictators who will kill you if you say anything against them and their so-called God Emperor. Now, on the topic of God Emperor, if he was to come back, that would be the first thing that would happen. The Adeptus Minister, the Ecclesiarchy would just straight up go out the window. He'd probably order a purging of all of them. The Inquisition would also go. That's just that's another day. I'll do that topic another day. But they're the first two things to go. Then it would be on to trying to rebuild all the bulwark of the Imperium of how it used to be during the Great Crusade, which would be, even for the Emperor, near impossible. Which just points out how badly the Imperium has decayed throughout the 10,000 years that the Emperor's been gone. So now this has all happened, the Emperor's back, he's disbanded the Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy. What's next? He would probably try and locate his sons again. It would be the same sort of Great Crusade style, but instead of going to planets in real space, he would have to go through the warp. During this time, he would probably attempt to hunt down his traitor sons, to either kill them, or if for some reason he had some change of heart and saw that they might be able to come back to the Imperial fold, try and recruit them again, which I don't see happening with any of them apart from... No, none of them actually. I was thinking about maybe Magnus, but he got screwed over the hardest. So none of them. Absolutely none of them. And let's say he's gone for a Great Crusade, but in the warp. What would he actually be going into the warp for, apart from to find his sons? Well, I think he might just launch a crusade to try and weaken the Chaos Gods in some way. Which, again, I think is very, very difficult. I mean, everyone knows it's very, very difficult. So on the topic of that, I don't think he'd do much to harm the Chaos Gods directly. But I say directly because I think he would do it a few other ways. Such as, with the Emperor back, he would be able to advance technology to the point where we would be able to build Necron-style pylons like we've been trying to seal the massive warp rifts, which has pretty much split the galaxy in half. So, the Emperor comes back, we could probably build those. We could shut off the warp, and we may be able to close the Eye of Terror, who knows. If we do that, then that's reducing a lot of risk of demons and chaos incursions and the like. But there's nothing to say that those warp storms and those rifts won't come back in different places and worse in retaliation. So it's very difficult. The next topic is who would power the Astronomicon without the Emperor on the Golden Throne, and who would keep the Imperial Webway gate sealed and stop Terra from being overrun by massive cohorts of demons. That, I would say, could only be down to one person, and that would be Magnus. Has to be an immense psychic entity, and the only person that I can think of that has that even close to that type of power is Magnus. Now, we all know that's not going to happen. Magnus is not going to come back to the Imperium, because he's been screwed over the hardest by the Emperor and, well, a mixture of the Emperor and Horus and Leman Russ, okay? He's never going to come back. After what's happened, He's never going to come back. So that's off the table. What would happen? Terror, the cradle of humanity, is literally going to be overrun by demons when he steps off the Golden Throne. The Astronomican's going to go dead. The warp is going to be probably worse than it was during the Age of Strife. There's going to be no way of getting ships through the warp safely, at least. So I think the Emperor would have no choice but to start working on a new Humanity of Man webway. I think that would be possible. They'd be able to write that in somehow. Might be a bit rough around the edges, but I think they could write that in. There's not much else to talk about, to be honest. I've covered the main topics and the main doubts I have, and I really don't think this could happen. Against every law in Warhammer, just please don't bring the Emperor back. Don't get me wrong, having the Emperor back would be absolutely awesome. But it couldn't be done in a way which protects the law that came before it. And that's why I don't want the Emperor back. And I think a lot of you don't want the Emperor back for that exact reason. So with that, my video is concluded. Thank you for watching. If you would like to see more of these videos, then please like and comment, because that's the best way of letting me know if you like or don't like these videos, and I'll be able to either put more out, or I'll just put this series on the shelf. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you in the next video.